Well, today we're going to be talking about the Magnificent Seven, and no, not the rather very, very good old cowboy movie made years and years ago, and it's very disappointing sort of remake. Um, but no, we're talking about the Magnificent Seven, as they have been dubbed by the UK's far left, which I suppose we can now call the UK's equivalent to the Dum Dum left. Maybe we can just group them together. Um, put them under the same banner. Really does seem like we could at this moment. But before we talk about the disappointing seven, I'm sure we'll come up with some highly hilarious name later on. But just for the moment, you know who they are. But before we do talk about that, we need to talk about a movement that happened in America called Force the Vote. Because honestly, what you have just seen over this not only had it the exact same pitfalls that Force the Vote also had, but I also think that if Force the Vote had happened or it had gone through, that those progressives in the House, I think it is, or the Senate, I can't remember which one now. I often get confused between the two. They would have been thrown very much to the political wilderness, just as we have now seen those other former probable Labour MPs, depend if they, want to go back into the party. Like I say, it's a 6-month suspension. There is an option for them to return should they wish it. So we'll see how many of them return in 6 months' time. But before we go into talking about Force the Vote and why it is pretty much the equivalent of what just happened over this and in a little kerfuffle over the King's speech. Like I say, please do remember to click the like, the share button, and of course, down below, there's the Patreon page, there's the Buy Me Coffee link where you can, buy me coffee. There's the YouTube thank you button as well. And of course, there's the Pony Club down below as well. So, first of all, what was Force the Vote? For my American viewers, you probably already know what Force the Vote is. However, I am going to probably try and explain it in probably the quickest fashion I possibly can, because honestly, you could do an entire video about Force the Vote, why it was a really bad strategic failure, and why it would have never have worked in an entire video. And indeed, the Majority Report has done that. Like I say, go check out Sam Seder, type in Majority Report Force the Vote, and there are just innumerable videos straight away you will find of Sam Seder and the crew on there discussing, Force the Vote was an incredibly bad idea. But before we go, what was Force the Vote? Because we're getting off track there. What was Force the Vote? Well, this was a whole idea that I believe it was when Biden won in 2020, that they could hold up the election. I think of the speaker at the time. I think it was Nancy Pelosi. For their side, that they could stop her from taking a seat, and they would only relent unless they got a vote on Medicare for all, essentially universal healthcare in America. And doing so would be incredibly strategically stupid. First of all, under no way could this vote win at all. Just like what we saw on the King's speech, there was no way it was going to win. But you do it anyway for what? for street cred, to show your colors, just to oh, look how moral we are. You stood on a platform knowing full well that was not in the manifesto. And bear in mind something else that has happened in the past couple of weeks as well. The leadership was talking about this. We know other Labour MPs have been putting pressure on the leadership to lift this cap as well. So we knew full well this was being discussed, that this was something the leadership would want to look into. And just as I did a couple of weeks ago, the strategic blunder, just as Force the Vote did, if you tried to do this, you knew it would not win. And instead, what they should have been doing is what, the progressives and they have been doing since then, is they have been influencing, trying to sort of get this movement going in, the Democratic Party, that this is the direction they need to go with. It is taking some time, but they are having far, far better efforts over there to eventually pass that. And if they had done this, this would have taken even longer to pass, even longer, because it would have done huge damage to that movement. Just as now, bear in mind, this was an SNP motion, and the motion stated the immediate removal of this. Immediate removal of this. That's how their motion was worded. So not only did these, 7 magnificent idiots fall for a obviously well-placed SNP trap, but then they ended up getting booted out of the party for nothing but performance politics. That's what it was. It was exactly like Force the Vote. It was nothing but sound and fury over something that the organizers knew. They knew where they would never win if they did try to force this vote. And yet, 2 weeks ago, well, just before this, I did a video about this called Guerrilla Warfare. What was it? Guerrilla Warfare, the King's Speech, and the Two-Child Benefit Cap, it's called. Go watch that. I said it before, and I'll say it again. The better option would have been you keep on applying pressure, which we saw, which we have seen previous week. They had been talking about this. You've got a new commission to look into this. Maybe you could have even gotten on that commission. Maybe you could have even gotten on some key committee appointments. But, well, you ain't in the party for the next 6 weeks, so you ain't going to be getting any committees, no committee appointments from any of those 7. So that's a massive loss of power, a massive loss of opportunity to go and craft policy, which, bear in mind, when you're in power, is the number one thing you should be focused on. And yet they could have also gone to, Starmer Rachel Reeves, and they could have gone, okay, we know you want to get rid of the, two-child benefit cap. You talked about it. You said you want to look into it, how we do it. Well, here's our plan. Here is our plan. Here is our policy proposal to get rid of that. Maybe, they raise dividend taxes or something else that they find how they can do that. There were multiple ways and far, far better strategic ways for them to do this. This was nothing but a huge performance vote. This is anyone who supports these guys. I'm sorry. They are idiots. They are morons. They did not know how to play politics. And instead, they enjoyed opposition so much, they decided to, go back into opposition. Because when you are in government, which they were, I want to repeat this, they had the opportunity to help craft and create policy. They don't anymore, at least potentially for not the next, 6 months. But they've burnt bridges. They've lost a whole lot of stuff. And to be honest, in many ways, if they don't come back, good riddance. If they do, well, they're very much going to be on the periphery of anything else. They can forget about having power or anything else, because I don't think that the rest of the left people in the Labour Party who have also been trying to sort of that have been putting pressure on Starmer to sort of lift this. I don't think they want to bring them into the fold or anything like that, or into any of their plans, if they're going to act this stupidly when it comes to an obvious trap vote set by the SNP. But there you go. So anyway, let me know what you think down below. I'm sure, as always, I will have people who disagree with me. That's fine. Hey, you're allowed to disagree with me. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, you can click on the like, the share button, etc. down below. And if you really do feel strongly, like I say, get in contact with me. We'll set up something on here and we'll have a talk about it. I'm more than happy to sort of do that. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.